Do you have any southbound trips planned?
I do. So last year I went home on Thanksgiving. I've done it the past 2-3 years, but now I'm married, so you kind of got to start thinking about, am I going to divide my holidays? Go to the wife's place and spend it with her family. I managed to sneak out of this one. Sorry. Sorry, but no, I managed to sneak out of this one. I'm going down to see my family on Long Island, spend the holiday with them. I have a TOG charter planned with the Nancy Ann, Captain Rich Jensen off of Orient Point, which I've joined the past 2 years. And it's a fun group. They have the same date every year, day after Thanksgiving or 2 days after Thanksgiving. So I'll go down, plan to do a little Turkey Day striper fishing in the surf, see if I can scratch a couple more fish, and then we'll get through Black Friday and head out to the East End and see if I can pick up a couple tog on my way back to the Cape.
Thanksgiving is a fishing holiday.
It is.
At least growing up for me in Philadelphia, we would always run to the Jersey Shore after Thanksgiving, run down and surf fish for stripers that whole 3-day weekend right afterwards. And there are some incredible Thanksgiving blitzes that used to happen, from Island. I would always fish Island Beach South was kind of my zone down there. Last year, you had a great Thanksgiving blitz.
It was unbelievable. I mean, I had high hopes, but once I got to the parking lot, I was like, I don't know how this is going to go. It's blowing a gale. It was raining sideways. Winds out of the southeast, so you're going to have, big seas. And a couple of buddies of mine, we walked through the dunes. We got out to our spot, and we were greeted by, hundreds of diving birds, and we're like, oh my God, it's on. So first couple of casts, hook a couple of slot size fish, and then, move down further on the beach, and all of a sudden there's even more birds than there were at the first spot. And a lineup of guys, just, everybody's bent. It was electric. I think that word's overused a lot these days, but it was awesome, especially, and it felt like it was the spirit of Thanksgiving, living on through the stripers. We're all going to stuff our faces a couple hours from now. Stripers were doing that morning. It was fantastic. It was a lot of fun.
So one of my darkest Thanksgiving fishing trips, to go from your high point to my low point, I went on a headboat. So I used to do Thanksgiving in East Williston on Long Island because that's where Pam's parents lived.
Sure.
So we would do Christmas with my family, Thanksgiving with her family. It's part of the marriage compromises. Yeah. You're going to learn more all about that. So the morning of Thanksgiving, there's really nothing for me to do. Everybody's cooking. I'm just kind of like kicking around. So I thought, I'm going to hop on the Captain Lou fleet for a tog trip. I brought my brother-in-law, who doesn't really fish much, but was interested enough to go.
They sail out of Freeport, Captain Lou, right?
They do, yeah. So right out of Freeport. We ran down to, I think it was the Seagirt Reef off New Jersey. We were pretty much...
kind of a long run.
Yeah, good run to like a big piece of structure, and the togging was tough. Like it was... I did not catch any keepers. My brother-in-law, who never fishes, caught 2 keepers, and then was like the hero of Thanksgiving coming home with the fish. And so that was bad. What was worse is that Jersey had a biblical blitz that day, and we were close enough to shore. You could see just like the groups of surf fishermen. I could see the birds. You could see people walking back, walking back up the beach, landing fish. That one hurt.
I didn't realize
really
the Seagirt Reef was that close to the beaches.
It may not have been the Seagirt Reef. I could be wrong about that.
Whatever the structure
whatever the reef was, wherever we were fishing, was close enough that you could see the action happening on the beach there. Headboat togging it's difficult because they have to be very selective about their structures they can fish. It's not like you're putting a 6-pack of guys over a couple boulders. You need to find something big enough where 40 guys on the boat, on both sides of this 100-foot long boat, are dropping into reasonable tog structure. Yeah. Like that is, to be a good party boat tog fisherman is a completely different skill set than just being a good tog fisherman on your own boat.
Yeah, I will say though, that time of year, you probably have, a lighter rail on your side. So, fewer tangles and, less competition for your crab.
So Matt, your surf fishing season for striped bass is probably coming to a close on that Thanksgiving trip.
Yeah, I would say that'll probably be the end of it. That was the end of it last year, and it was a great way to go out. So
I'd like to think that I'll get down to Jersey one more time and do one more trip down there. That depends on the kids' dance recitals and all the other stuff going on up here to escape for Saturday to get down and surf fish. But regardless of what happens, pretty much you can assess how your surf fishing season was. What grade 2025 as a striped bass surf fishing season for Matt Heffner.
Are we going on a scale of 0 to 100, or are we going A through F?
You can do whatever grading system you want.
Okay. All right. If I had to give it a grade overall, I'd give it like a B- or a C+.
Okay.
It could have been worse, I guess. But, the one thing that I noticed is, you had to work a lot harder for your fish. The fish that I did catch for the most part were larger fish, not necessarily you're not catching cows constantly. Nobody is, or a few guys are, but or at least I didn't see the small fish in the areas that they should have been. The schoolies that you get on the cinderworm hatches, the early first wave of fish that pushes into the estuaries and the salt ponds on the south side of Cape Cod. It was very bare bones this year. There was not a lot happening. So that was kind of the theme throughout the course of the season, even during the fall run. You just didn't see those. In years past, the few years I've lived here, you go down onto the beach in the first week of November, end of October, and there are still fish blitzing along the south side beaches on bay anchovies, spearing, the last of the peanut bunker heading out, and I just didn't see any of that this year.
That's consistent with what a lot of people are saying.
Yeah.
Fewer fish and less consistency. It was very tough for me all season to dial in something that lasted more than a night or 2 nights.
Yeah.
You would find the fish. You would think, okay, here's a little pattern. I'm going to go back the following night, and they just wouldn't be there. I think so much of it is a symptom of there being fewer fish. And the fall run here was really, the striper season around here really went out with kind of a whimper.
It feels like they passed us right by and ran right to New York and New Jersey, where, they're reliably the past 3 to 4 years have been just acres upon acres of bunker off the south shore of Long Island and down to the coast of Jersey.
That's where the fall run especially is where you're going to feel, and the early spring, that lack of schoolie-sized fish.
Yeah.
If you own a boat, whether it's a sport fish, a charter vessel, or a commercial rig, your insurance should be as reliable as your gear. That's where Lambros Insurance comes in, specializing in marine coverage for yachts, charter boats, commercial vessels, and marinas. We understand the water because we live it. Dean Lambros isn't just an insurance pro. He's a seasoned captain with years on the water. Protect your boat, your business, and your passion with a policy that actually fits. Visit LambrosInsurance.com or call Dean directly, 203-644-4044, and get covered by someone who speaks your language.
In studying the striped bass population, they do the Young of the Year surveys in Maryland. They take seine nets at a number of locations, and they run them through. And by then, they have a pretty reliable predictor of future striped bass abundance. It's called the Young of the Year survey. We've had 7 below average ones in a row right now. So that's 7 years. A 7-year-old striper is about 28 inches, roughly. So you're seeing most of the fish you're seeing are 28 inches and up, probably over 30 inches at this point is the average size. The schoolies this year were kind of the more rare fish. I saw very few 20 to 24 inch fish overall. And it's so different from go back 10 years, go back 15 years when the schoolies were a nuisance. I could always just go to the backwaters and catch a bunch of schoolies, or we would have, instead of mackerel fishing today, we would have been jigging in the east end of the canal, and we would have caught a dozen 20 to 28 inch maybe bass. And there's no indication that there's small bass around.
There was
right now.
nobody even trying for bass. I figured maybe we'll see a couple guys jigging, maybe 1 or 2 fish pulled in, but there was nobody even giving it a shot, which to me means that there's been guys giving it a shot, and it's just not been worth it.
Yeah, speaking of Thanksgiving trips, a couple years ago, I had a great Thanksgiving in the East End jigging stripers. And, they'll be there through December. You get the reports from Red Top, Bull over there. He fishes hard through November into December and catches bass almost 12 months a year out of the canal.
Yeah.
So most years they're around. This year it seems to be, it really just kind of went out with a whimper. And until the past week, we're recording this in mid-November. It's going to go out, actually, it's going to get to you guys on Thanksgiving. The surf guys in Jersey were having a really hard go of it. All the fish were offshore. It seems like in the last couple days, they just moved in. Now they're really hammering them from the surf. But even when I was down there a week ago, it was slower then. The boat guys were doing fine, but a lot of them were 2 miles off the beach in bunker and sand eels. Stars align this week. Seeing a lot of, our friends at Grumpy's, our friends at all the tackle shops down there.
You're seeing
posting.
the bluefin too within casting range of the beach, which is just insane. And to your point, Nick Honashevsky posted a video of it must have been at least 30 guys out on the beach, and it's a Tuesday morning, and he's like, "Does anybody work?" So it goes to show you what happens when those fish do finally push in after 2+ weeks of just being out offshore. The surfcasters call in sick.
It is that type of thing. But Nick's there too,
Yeah, that's
but it is
true.
that type of thing where you think doesn't it? But that's what you save your sick days for.
Exactly.
That's what you save your vacation days for, especially if you're into fishing and you know it's going to be good. Man, I've done it. I've used sick days around here to that weren't necessarily. I wasn't feeling under the weather. I would have felt bad if I didn't fish. So that's kind of a proactive sick day.
Or you're sick and you force yourself out of bed for a couple hours to make a couple casts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so our surf seasons were kind of, I'd grade mine the same as you, maybe a little bit lower. It was just kind of a letdown, in the way that you thought maybe the fall, maybe it'll happen in the fall. Find a big bunch of them. I'll be there on the right night when the big school of big ones is coming through. And it just, man, it didn't happen. But a bright side of your season is you did some great traveling this year. You caught stripers from New York to Maine.
Yeah, New York to Maine. Long Island, first striper in the spring, although I will say that my first striper of the year could have been like a 20+ pounder. I hooked it on a bucktail, and I saw it come up to the surface immediately, and it shook free, so that was a little bit of a dagger. But yeah, that was my first bass of the year, was a couple stripers down on the South Shore of Long Island, and by the summer, I was, I had to go up to Maine for a wedding. I got to fish with our buddy Scott Geisler, who is a surf fishing guide, so I kind of just tagged along on one of his charters and just fished, a couple hundred yards down the beach from them, and we had excellent fishing. That was a lot of fun. Got to fish with John Sargent during, I guess, I don't know if you'd call it the early fall run or the end of the summer, really, but it was that mid-September, late September window where I guess it's technically September 21st, the first day of fall, and we had great fishing too.
Yeah, that was down in Connecticut.
Yep, yeah, so that was a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, I would say the early fall run was probably the mid-spring and early fall were the best two windows where I was able to really, catch some respectable fish and have somewhat consistent action. But to your point before, the only pattern that I was really able to, I keep a fishing log, a written log, where I, write down the moon phase, the temperature of the water, the air, the wind direction, the wind speed, all that kind of stuff. And this year, similar sentiment to other surfcasters, is just crumple up the whole logbook and throw it out, because the only pattern I was able to develop was that there was no pattern.